place of Eric Johnston. Gentlemen, please go ahead.
This is Chris Mackerlane. I think we were advised that the commission may have some questions in regards to recent agreement done by both Parks and Penn National with bet makers regarding fixed odds wagering offered in New Jersey. We're both available to answer any of those questions that the commission may have regarding that.
Thanks, Chris. Are there questions from the commissioners? Mr. Rogers, did you want to start us off?
I'd just like to hear a little bit of presentation on it, please.
So basically, this is Joe Wilson, Joewilson. Good afternoon, everybody.
Go ahead, Joe.
Towards the end of June, and as of the end of July, they had wagered approximately $45,000 on our races. I can tell you that we are the second largest track by handle, obviously Monmouth Park being number one. And we seem to see some growth. So, some days they'll wager, $5,000 on our races. Some days they'll wager $2,000, but there is a steady growth in it. But I can tell you it has not made an impact as of yet. And I think the biggest reason for that is just the distribution of it. So basically, you got to be either on their website or you got to be at the racetrack to make a fixed odds wager. And the whole idea behind fixed odds was that this needs to be available in all the sports books. So all the online operators in New Jersey is what needs to get going. And once you see that, then you'll see some significant numbers, if you will.
Hey, Chris or Joe, could you explain exactly how it works, the mechanics of it?
Sure. It's Chris Mackerlane, MC, capital ERLEAN, from Penn National, Penn Entertainment. So again, I will take that the audience here knows something about fixed odds, but as people know, with pari-mutuel wagering, essentially all the money is put into one pool for each wager, and the odds are determined by the proportionality of those wagers and can change depending on how much money comes in the pool. Every minute or less than a minute, the pools are updated and the odds change. And the person who makes a wager 5 minutes to post at a horse that's 5-1, if that horse then goes off at even money at the start of the race, that person's paid out even money if the horse wins. He doesn't get what the odds that he or she bet when they made the actual wager. Fixed odds wagering is basically the same as making a sports wager. If you want to bet on Secretariat at 5-1, 10 minutes before post time, you make your wager. If the fixed odds company accepts the wager, you get 5-1 on that horse. So you're regardless of what money is bet on it after the fact or until the race starts. And if you win, you get paid out at those 5-1 odds. Those fixed odds will change for other people down the line, depending on how much money is wagered. Again, it's all about risk management. So they take into account how much money is on certain horses and adjust the odds accordingly. But the person making the wager, if he bets it at 5-1, that's the odds that person gets on the horse. And if it wins, they get paid out at 5-1 from that standpoint. So that's a very simplistic explanation.
This is Commissioner DeBunda. I'm confused because last meeting there was a discussion about this. As I understand it, if I go to Monmouth right now and they have a race, it's not what I bet. They give me a fixed odds number, I can either accept that number or I can take whatever happens with the pool. But I don't get necessarily what the odds are on the pool when I bet. I get either the fixed odds or the pool bet. I don't get my bet.
Right. So you go to you go to either window. So you go to the pari-mutuel window. It's just like what all of us are used to. But then if you go to a fixed odds terminal, they'll show you what the odds are on each horse.
Yeah, so it's not basically what you if the odds at the reg are 5-1 and it goes off at even money, you don't get 5-1. You get the regular money, or you can have bet the fixed odds that they offered before the race. Is that correct?
Well,
All right, a fixed odds teller, and your horse is at 5-1, and you make a bet on that horse. They give you a ticket. You're getting 5-1 if that horse wins.
Yeah, if that's the fixed odds that was set by the, if that's the fixed odds that was set by the track, it's not necessarily what
It's
the
not
odds
set by.
are.
Hold on, it's set by bet makers. It's basically
Okay,
set
I
by.
agree with you. Okay, but the point is, I can either get that fixed odds, or I can get whatever the pool ends up being. But I don't necessarily get what the pool was when I made the bet. If I choose to go by the pool,
no.
I'm basically getting the pool bet no matter what happens to it, or I can decide to take fixed odds.
Correct. Correct, Commissioner. They're really two separate wagers. So
I agree. Okay.
So you can either make, and I think the way Monmouth has it right now at the teller windows, they're separate windows, and I believe at the self-service machines, they're identified separately, or I believe they have them on separate machines right now. So if you go to a pari-mutuel machine, and again, you bet a horse at 5-1 a minute before post time, his odds might drop to 2-1. You get 2-1 on that horse. That's the pari-mutuel pool. If you made the bet in the fixed odds pool, again, if it was 5-1, you get 5-1. So the pools aren't interspersed. You don't get one or the other, depending on which wager you choose to make.
But you don't necessarily get what the open odds were at the time you bet. You get whatever it ends up being. That's the thing I wanted. I think you said the opposite of it. That's why I'm.
Well, again, if you're betting the pari-mutuel pool, you get whatever the final odds are.
Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify. That's what I wanted.
In the fixed odds, you get whatever the odds are when you make that actual wager.
Okay.
I think you answered this already, but just to confirm, the only place you can do this is at Monmouth right now. Is that correct? Even though they're betting on your races?
Correct.
No.
Commissioner, that is correct. And the way that, and just for background, both Joe and myself, our respective companies, we own in a joint venture Freehold Raceway, which is in New Jersey, a harness track. So we've been familiar with the fixed odds efforts in New Jersey, which have gone back about 3 or 4 years. So we're very familiar with the legislation and the setup. But right now in the state of New Jersey, the only place you can make a fixed odds wager is physically at Monmouth Park. They have a license to do it, or through a mobile app called Monmouth Bets. It's also a desktop computer website. Those are the only 2 locations that you can make a wager. Now, other locations can get licensed in the state, such as Freehold. We have chosen right now not to get a license. We're waiting to see how the market evolves. And other sports wagering companies can get a license also by making an agreement with Monmouth Park and bet makers. Not to get into nuances, but the way the law is set up, Monmouth Park essentially gets to make sub-licensing deals with other sports books for fixed odds.
if you do this deal with bet makers, would Parks and Penn National now have fixed odds betting?
Not in Pennsylvania. It's
not in
legal
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing I should mention is, again, this can only be done in the state of New Jersey. So fixed odds wagering is regulated by the DGE, the Division of Gaming Enforcement in the state of New Jersey. They also regulate sports wagering, iCasino, and the casinos in the state of New Jersey. The DGE requires that the fixed odds wagering be geo-fenced. So basically, you have to physically be within the state of New Jersey to make a fixed odds wager. You can be a Pennsylvania resident. Commissioner DeBunda, you could go over to New Jersey, open up an account being a Pennsylvania resident. However, you physically have to be in the state of New Jersey because it is technically geo-fenced to make that wager. If you went back to your home in Pennsylvania, you could not make the wager even though you have an account.
I do now understand that. Now explain to me what happens if you make this deal with bet makers. What happens in Pennsylvania that's different than now?
Nothing right now. Right now, this agreement, and again, I don't know the particulars of Joe's agreement, but I assume it's probably the same. Think of this as a regular simulcast agreement. We being Penn National Parks, we are allowing bet makers to use our content, our races, for them to accept wagers in the state of New Jersey. So this is not unlike us selling our signal to NYRA or the Maryland Jockey Club. It's a simulcast arrangement. We get paid a host fee for them betting on our races, whether it's a percentage of the handle or a percentage of the revenue or a flat fee. And then that revenue there's usually an agreement between the track and the horseman of splitting that revenue, just like a simulcast wager. Okay. So think of it in the same ways as a regular simulcast wager.
Just like NYRA bets, it would be like, in a sense.
If Parks sells its signal to NYRA bets and NYRA bets takes a wager, Parks gets a percentage of that bet, 3%, 5%, whatever it is. And then,
well, Tom, is there an arrangement where NYRA bets comes in through a separate fund?
Well, Dan, that's only in the state of Pennsylvania. That wouldn't be applicable here.
Okay.
No, to be clear, nobody in the state of Pennsylvania can make a fixed odds wager today.
I wasn't talking about fixed odds now. I was talking about just a bet. I was talking about if they use I was trying to see, is this the same as NYRA bets, and the fact that money goes into a fund that's split between the horsemen?
It would only be applicable to Parks and Penn National because they're betting directly on our product. So probably NYRA bets isn't the best example. I would equate it more to you Parks selling its signal to let's say Pimlico, and Pimlico makes a bet on Parks, and Parks gets a percentage of that handle.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Any other commissioners have any?
I'm confused. What the SPMO license is what kind of a license?
That's the second.
Can I jump in? Hey, Chris, Joe, and Commissioner, let me try to kind of clarify it. Both Joe and Chris, for sending your signal out of state, you have an arrangement with your local horsemen's group, correct? You at the PTHA and you at the HBPA, correct?
That's correct.
And by sending your signal to New Jersey for them to use bet makers to wager on it, there's an agreed upon percentage, whatever it is, that comes back to Penn National and comes back to Parks. And those funds are divided between the PTHA for the Parks wagers and the HBPA for the Penn National wagers, correct?
That's correct.
That is correct.
and you needed and you got the HPPA's permission to do this like any other simulcast signal, to send your signal out of state, and the same thing with the PTHA to send their signal out of state at parks, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Does that help, Commissioner?
So, okay, so that there is no separate money from that goes into a fund like the.
It's part of the live racing agreement. The division of the revenues.
That's what I'm getting the impression. I thought it was different than that. but I
No.
understand.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now, are there any other questions for Chris or for Joe? And hearing none, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your participation in the meeting today. Why don't we turn to our administrative actions?
All right, under administrative action, Madam Chairperson, can I have a motion to approve the simulcast calendars for September 2023 for the Harness Tracks, Harris, Mohican Sun, and Pocono Downs in the Meadows?
Thanks. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Commissioner Sweeney, Commissioner Brennheiser on the second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes.
Madam Chair, a motion to approve the simulcast calendars for September 2023 for the Thoroughbred Tracks, Parks, Penn National, and Presque Isle Downs.
I will make such a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner DeBunda. Thank you, Commissioner Jones on the second. Any discussion, questions on this one? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Next motion, Madam Chair, is to ratify the Thoroughbred Bureau Director's approval for Presque Isle Downs to cancel live racing days on August 24th and 31st, September 7th and September 14th, and add live racing dates at the end of the meet on October 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
I make such a motion.
Okay, I heard Commissioner Jones first, Commissioner DeBunda on the second. Questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
The next motion is to ratify the Standardbred Bureau Director's approval for the Meadows to move its post time to 5:10 p.m. on Friday, October 13th, 2023.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Commissioner Reddy. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Any questions or discussion on this one? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. George, we'll turn to the licensing issue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Presently before the commission is a joint petition for change of ownership and control between the parties FBG Enterprises OpCo LLC, also known as Fanatics, and Premier Turf Club LLC, whose parent company is PointsBet Racing, which is a duly licensed SPMO. This matter has been presented to the Commission's licensing office and the Office of Chief Counsel, as well as the two directors. We've had an opportunity to review the entity applications and supporting documentation, including the joint petitions. With our recommendation, this would be the following order. It is a rather long one, so I'll read the order, which will give you some factual basis for this order. And at the end of it, I will ask the commissioners to file this as a motion. And now this 29th day of August 2023, in accordance with 3 Pertins 9357-2 of the Racing Act, Premier Turf Club LLC and FBG Enterprises OpCo Fanatics, and together with PointsBet Racing and as joint petitioners, file a joint petition seeking approval for a change of ownership in which, under the terms of the May 14th, 2023 stock and equity sale agreement and the June 27th, 2023 First Amendment to the stock and equity sale agreement, Fanatics will ultimately acquire 100% of PointsBet's racing stock and equity. PointsBet Racing, through its subsidiary, Premier Turf Club LLC, is currently licensed by the Commission as an SPMO and is in good standing. Under the terms of the multiple phase acquisition transaction, including the consummation of certain closing conditions and regulatory approvals, Fanatics will wholly own PointsBet Racing. The Commission, through its Office of Licensing and the Office of Chief Counsel, has conducted the necessary review and analysis of the proposed transaction and its suitability under the applicable provisions of the Racing Act. Based upon its review of the above transaction, the Commission hereby finds that upon completion of the transaction, PointsBet Racing will remain the ultimate decision maker for all racing-related matters, including the day-to-day business operations. The joint petitioners affirm that PointsBet Racing will continue to comply with the SPMO operational provisions and orders, including tax obligations, horsemen's first contribution obligations, and the license renewal provisions set forth in the Racing Act. Number 3, the above joint petitioners have properly complied with the provisions relating to the proposed substantial change in ownership as set forth in 9357-2 of the Act. Number 4, the above petitioners have also demonstrated by clear and convincing documentary evidence that the proposed transaction is consistent with the best interests of racing. Therefore, the proposed transaction and substantial change in ownership as enumerated in the joint petition and supporting documentation is hereby granted. Such approval is conditioned upon the general conditions set forth in the Act and with the following specific conditions. Number 1, within 15 business days of the transaction closing, all final fully executed transaction documents and exhibits associated with the transaction shall be forwarded to the Bureau of Licensing. Number 2, all final executed agreements, closing documents may not materially depart from the proposed transaction as enumerated with the joint petition previously submitted to the Commission during the course of staff review and background suitability investigation. Number 3, joint petitioners shall cooperate with the Commission's Director of Licensing to finalize the licensing of any director, officer, management, and operating personnel deemed necessary and appropriate. That could be taken as a motion.
Thank you, George. Is there a motion to approve the joint petition, change of ownership?
I will make such a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner DeBunda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Any questions for George? Any discussion?
I just want to thank the staff for the work that they did in getting this finalized. Thank you very much.
Duly noted and applauded. All right, hearing no other questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Understand we have.
Commissioner Ellis. This is Commissioner Ellis. I abstain.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ellis. Motion passes. Moving on to adjudication, staying with George.
Thank you. This matter is before the State Horse Racing Commission pursuant to an appeal filed by licensed trainer Ralph Riviezzo from a September 5th, 2022 ruling issued by the Parks Board of Stewards. The Stewards ruling number 22-238 PP found Riviezzo in violation of the Commission's regulations after 2 out-of-competition blood test samples were taken from horses trained by Mr. Riviezzo named Spartak and S-Man on June 22nd, 2022. Both samples tested positive for clenbuterol. Based upon the Stewards' findings of evidence presented and aggravating factors, the Stewards imposed a fine of $2,500 and a 60-day suspension of Riviezzo's license for the clenbuterol violation associated with a horse named Spartak. Riviezzo was also fined $5,000 and suspended 120 days for the clenbuterol medication violation associated with a horse named S-Man, resulting in total sanctions of $7,500 fine and a suspension of 180 days. After a continuation and several hearing procedural issues, the record was closed on May 19th, 2023, and the Commission has now had an opportunity to review the transcript of the hearing, the evidence of the record, and the proposed recommendation of the hearing officer. The following order may be taken as a motion. And now, this 29th day of August 2023, upon consideration of the testimony and exhibits of record, it is hereby ordered that the decision of the Parks Board of Stewards, ruling number 22-238 PP, dated September 5th, 2022, which imposed a total 180-day suspension and a total fine of $7,500 for violation of 7 PA Code Sections 185.2 and 401.2 is hereby affirmed. That can be taken as a motion.
Thank you, George. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Ruddy. Questions or discussion with regard to this adjudication?
Commissioner DeBunda, I expect to abstain from the vote on this. Mr. Ribbiezzo is a former director of the PTHA, a longtime friend of mine, and I therefore don't think I should vote on this matter, so I will be abstaining.
Understood. Thank you for pointing that out. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. Any abstentions besides Commissioner DeBunda, who's noted his for the record? Okay, motion carries. Moving on then to the industry reports. Tony?
Okay, Madam Chair, thank you. Just for the benefit of the court reporter, I just ask everybody, please spell their name when they called on. We're going to start off a little different today with Jeff Matty from the PTHA. Jeff, are you on?
I am. Tony, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Thanks, Tony. This is Jeff. Last name is Matty, Matty. Madam Chair, Commissioners, just wanted to give you a quick brief update. We had our Pennsylvania Derby preview day last week. When Dave would speak about that, but I just wanted to take this time again to thank Commissioner DeBunda, former president of the PTHA. We hosted his inaugural race, the Salvatore M. DeBunda Stakes, which was won by Guadalupe Preciado. We had a great turnout for Sal, both current board members and past board members. So it was a great day. I know the racing form highlighted, you know, the Catherine Sophia and the Smarty Jones, but internally, I think that was a race that meant a lot to all of us. So I'd just like to take this time and thank Sal again, and hopefully he enjoyed the race as much as we did. And then secondly, I will be in contact with Tom. I'd ask all the commissioners if they could. I know you guys have busy schedules, but the PTHA is hosting a Pennsylvania Derby cocktail party the night before, Friday, September 22nd. So I will get that in front of Tom. And again, I know the drive might be a little bit for some of you, but if you could make it, we'd greatly appreciate it. This will be our second year in a row doing that. Last year was great. It was met with a lot of enthusiasm. So having all of you there would mean a lot to us. And that's all. And I'll let Joe and Dave, talk a little bit more about the racing when they get to it. Thanks, Tony.
Jeff, thank you very much for putting everything together for that stake. I appreciate it. And for the commission's edification, Jeff is in Alaska right now learning we're sending him to class on how to sell ice to Eskimos, because I figured that would help make him a better executive director.
Yeah.
How's he going?
Sal.
How much
Thank
ice have you sold, Jeff?
Oh, we're working on it. Yes, just so the commission knows, a lot of work went into Sal's race, so I needed a vacation afterward, but hopefully it met his standards. And again, I appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you, Tony, and thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Jeff.
I have one comment. Having been at Parks on Pennsylvania Day at the races, I think a great deal of commendation goes to the breeders for having bred enough horses so the races were nearly overly filled. It was a big turnout. No races were short on horses, and a great congratulations to the breeders who raised enough good horses to fill the races that day.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
I second that comment by Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thanks, Jeff. Enjoy your vacation. We'll go to Scott Lisher.
Thanks.
Okay, Jeff. Good luck with the ice sales, too. We'll go to Scott Lisher from the Meadows. Scott?
Thank you, Tony. Scott, last name Lisha, L-I-S as in Sam, H-I-A, Director of Racing here at the Meadows. Madam Chair, members of the Commission, thank you. So we're in the throes of August like everyone, and lot of sire stakes and stallion series races. So we'll be winding down with that. But overall, pretty solid August for us. We have seen some declines in our handle, especially on Saturdays, but the other days of the week have been holding pretty steady compared to last year. So that's still positive. Nice fields. People, the horsemen have been entering. So it's been happily a good surprise. One element though, we did, as you all know, we in conjunction with PNRC had a crossbreed pick 4, and I wanted to touch on it a little bit. We tried this. It was something of an experiment, a very low takeout for a race like that, or a wager like that, 12%. We ran it over 4 weeks, and then we had a natural break because PNRC was off that following Friday. We really didn't garner any steam on it. We actually averaged about 4,500 a race or a wager for total pool. But in the end, I think it was great. And I'm just speaking for myself. Obviously, Eric could speak to it as well. But we did garner some PR. We tried something. I know we learned some things from it, from a operational side, from a logistical side, from a marketing side. And I think it's a great starting point for us to maybe build and try something else, either, internally with our tracks or other tracks in the state. But, all in all, if we don't try things, we'll never know if they work or not, or we'll never learn from them. So I want to thank the commission for allowing us to try it, and hopefully we can bring them back again or in some other form or something, but definitely want to look into opportunities like this. And that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, Scott, I just thank you and Eric for at least trying it and attempting it. Anything new we can come up with and just see if we can't get something to work. But thank you. Mike Zollinger from Pocono. Mike.
Hi, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Commissioners, it's Mike, MikeZullinger. Back on August 19th, we had our Sun Stakes Saturday, and it turned out to be a beautiful day for racing. The weather was perfect. The PHHA had their luncheon in the clubhouse. Ashley had her group out on the apron, some face painters, food truck. It was a great day of racing. Handle was up 11% for that day over last year, as well as our wagering partners in ATG Sweden. Their handle was up 3% over what they did last year. So overall, a good day. Just a reminder, everybody, we raced our last Sunday night card this past Sunday. So beginning September 6th, we moved to Wednesday racing. So we'll now have racing Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and hold our qualifiers on Thursday at the same time at 10 a.m. Also in September, we had a short break from September 13th to September 18th. That's to allow for our Oktoberfest, which is back at Mohegan this year, which will be Friday, September 15th and Saturday, September 16th, with 50 beer selections and vendors, local traditional entertainment, wiener dog races, authentic German and American cuisine. So you can check out the website for more details and stop out for a great day there. And we have about 36 days of racing left on for the year. So we're looking forward to ending the good season. That's all, Tony. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, I'd like to thank you and your staff and your track crew. You guys put on a really great day of racing. It was nice to see so many people out on the apron, and I know it took a lot of work and effort on you and your staff's part. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you as well.
Okay, Barry Brown from Harris. Barry?
Thank you, Tony. Barry Brown, B-A-R-R-Y, B-R-O-W-N, Director of Racing for Harris, Philadelphia. Just like the other tracks, we are winding down our Sire Stakes season. We look forward to this Sunday, our Sire Stakes Championship Day here at Harris, Philadelphia. Tomorrow is our last Wednesday, so as Pocono adds Wednesdays, we give up Wednesdays. Tomorrow will be our last one, and as we move into September, our schedule will be Thursday, Friday, Sunday for the duration of the 2023 season. We do have a couple scheduling notes, a couple night racing cards coming up September 8th and October 6th, so we look forward to those evenings as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Joe Wilson from Parks. Joe?
Thanks, Tony. Joe Wilson, Wilson. As Jeff mentioned, last week we came back from our summer break with Smarty Jones, Commissioner DeBunda's race, the Catherine Sophia, and obviously PA Day at the races, which was a really good day. A couple great days of racing, and we're gearing up, looking forward to Pennsylvania Derby, which is coming up on September 23rd, and looking for a really, really big day. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Joe. Matt Ennis, Presque Isle. Matt?
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to thank the commission for the consideration to alter our race days to limit the amount of competition we are seeing later in our season compared to now. We appreciate those efforts. Results for our season so far, we're 59% of the way through our season. We are up in export handle 7.5 million through 47 days. So very successful results for Presque Isle so far this year. Upcoming in September, we have on Labor Day presenting for our local Erie community T-Rex races, which always brings excitement to the Erie community here. And September 18th is our largest day of the year. We're running our $300,000 Masters and $150,000 mile race, both on consecutive, the same day, and advertising with Ashley and her group through the PHRA to explode that day for us. So a lot of exciting things for us in September. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Eric Johnson from Penn National. Eric?
Thank you, Tony. Just to reiterate what Scott said, our pick 4, our crossbreed pick 4 was certainly a learning opportunity for both of us. One of the things that I learned that's jumped out really quickly was that you don't need to do that against Del Mar and Saratoga. But it certainly led enough insight that I think there's some things we can do in the future. So haven't given up on it yet. So we'll see what happens here as we get into the fall. Maybe we'll try something else when the traffic slows down a little bit. And speaking of new things, we tried a 4:00 post last Saturday. We've actually requested to changes of post time for last Friday. We requested those from the commission to accommodate a couple of the concerts. And last week, even though we were running against Saratoga and Del Mar and all the other big boys, we had a really strong night. Despite a few short fields on there, we were just shy of $1 million. So I'm interested to see what happens in September on the 15th when we go to the 4:00 post again. If we see the same trends as we saw last Friday, we may be making some adjustments to our post time schedule for next year. Other than that, just by the time we roll around to the next commission meeting, we will be on a hiatus for about 4 weeks. So we'll shut down the last week of September and come back again in the last week of October. So I may miss the next commission meeting being on a well-deserved vacation. At least in my opinion, anyway. Chris may have different thoughts on that. So. But anyway, we appreciate the commission's approval of all the things this year, and just looking to wrap it up with a bang.
Okay, thanks, Eric, and you do deserve a vacation. So, Mr. Beagle, anything?
Sam Biggle, Sambeeegle, and I just want to reiterate what Mike Zellinger, he done a very good job, and we had a very nice day up there, and I hope we can have a lot more of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Kim Hankins from the MSOA. Kim, are you on?
Yes, I am. Kim Hankins, KIMHANKINS. No report this month. Thank you.
Okay, Kim. Todd Mosteller, HBPA. Todd, are you on? We'll go to Jim and Mike Simpson. Jim or Mike Simpson from the Standardbred Breeders. You guys on? Brian, you're up. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The deposits into the breeding fund are on the second page of the handout. We are through July, 250,000 and change to the good, but the month of July, the money from or for testing and the other ancillary money was not taken out during July or August either. I mean, I didn't get August figures yet, but it has not been taken or won't be taken out yet. So hopefully the budget will be done shortly, and we'll see how that goes as far as the taking out of the money. The September issue of the Mid-Atlantic Thoroughbred is attached. Again, it's the September issue, so you're not allowed to read it till Thursday. But as a couple people already mentioned, we had PA Day at the races last Monday at Parks. We paid out over $1 million in purses. We had 7 stakes races. 2 of those were the opening PA sired, PA bred 2-year-old stakes series. As Commissioner Jones said, the fields were pretty much full. In fact, I haven't seen a day in a while with that many horses in the field other than PA Derby Day. So it was a fantastic day. I'd like to thank Joe for all he did to help make the day fantastic. David Asajnik and his staff, Jeff Matty and Bob Hutt from the Horsemen's Organization. We gave away a 0-turn mower that was donated by the NTRA. And so we sold chances. Money went to, some of the money went to Turning for Home. They helped us sell the chances, and the rest went to PHPA. I think the handle for that day, and Joe can correct me, but I think it was approximately 4.2 million. So it was a fantastic day, and it's usually one of the best handled days of the year. And I'd also like to thank the PHRA for sending out Jalen and Jen to set up a booth and gave out some great things also. I think that this, PA Day at the races has really grown to be a fantastic day. And as Commissioner Jones said, the breeders, they're the ones that are responsible for making this day great. The breeders that, put out all their time getting those horses, those PA bred horses together and domicile those horses to make them eligible to be PA breds. So again, moving in the right direction. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, Brian, thank you. Just one other thing I want to mention. I forgot earlier when I was thanking people, I forgot to thank Ashley Eisenbell and her staff on Sun Stakes Day. They were out there. They did a great job. They had things set up for everybody. So thank you, Ashley. And on that note, just a reminder that the Sire Stakes finals are this weekend. Saturday at Pocono is the 2-year-old Sire Stakes finals. And then on Sunday, the 3-year-old Sire Stakes finals will be at Harris, as Barry mentioned. The Meadows will have the Stallion Series finals the following week. And then the Fair finals will be the first, I think it's the first week in October at Pocono. I think it's October 8th. 9th? Thanks, Sam. We're down to, today is the second day of Wattsburg, and there's only 4 fairs left. So the fair season has gone by quickly and, knock on wood, without any issues. So with 4 more to go. So, yeah, I jinxed it, sure.
Yeah,
So, Mike, any public comment?
No, sir, no public
No
comment.
public comment. Okay, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Thanks, everybody, for positive reports. Sounds like we've had a good season. Our next regularly scheduled public meeting is September 26th at 1 o'clock back here in this room. However, between now and then, on September 12th, there will be a special budget meeting. Hopefully by then, the fiscal code issues are all resolved and we'll be discussing the next budget year, as opposed to trying to figure out how we get through the current budget year. But anyway, that will be open to the public as well, available in person or on Teams. So you can look for that notice to come from the commission staff. Any final good of the order information to be shared? And hearing no comments, seeing no hands fly into the air, is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Thank you, Dr. Sweeney. Is there a second? Second from Michelle Reddy, and everybody said yes. Safe travels